Hello, thought about creating a complete new basic Java introduction. So this is the first episode, where we can build the first Java application together. Java, if you take a look at Wikipedia, is a general purpose computer programming language that is concurrent, class-based, object-oriented, and so on and so on. And you can read this whole thing if you want to do later on Wikipedia. I added the link below. So what we need if we want to start is first the Java runtime and development environment. You can download it from oracle.com. Just go to the download section, and then you'll find Java downloads. Uh, I use the standard edition. There's also a mobile edition, but with a standard you can do mostly everything. Follow the instructions. There are other uh, descriptions online you can find. And once you've installed, you can call two applications. First is Java. If you say minus version, you get the information. And the other thing is the Java compiler. That is javac. So this works fine. The next thing that you will need is editor. Uh, just a simple text editor. There are plenty out there. There are also things especially for Java. So if you want to have something especially for Java, Eclipse is a good idea. Then there's of course NetBeans IDEA. There's also IntelliJ. And just to name some others, there's Visual Studio Code, there's Sublime, uh, even Emacs or Vim if you want to use those. I will use Vim, but you don't need to. Others are much easier. So let's start with the first program. So we need first some source code. So I use VI and start to create the welcome world.java file. So no, not welcome, the hello world, of course. Hello world. So whenever you start a language, you usually start writing a program named hello world that will mainly just write hello world, and that's it. So what's the part of source code for this hello world? We start with the class hello world, some brackets, and close them again. And inside we have something public, static void main, parenthesis, string, arcs, and again curly braces, closing them again, and then we have system.out.println hello world. Okay, so let's see. Before I said something about the Java compiler. So if we call the Java compiler with hello world.java, it runs, and it actually created the hello world.class file. And if I now call Java hello world, this executes the hello world class. So let's see what actually happened here. So the first line says that there is something called a class. A class, Java is an object-oriented language, so it uses the concept of objects. And to distinguish between different objects, you need to describe them. So like you have, for example, a fruit or a vehicle that could be objects, or just some characters or a number. These are different types of objects, and the type is called class. So this is now, we created now the class hello world, and the class hello world describes something that will just write hello world to the console. So this is the class. The next thing is here we have this line of public static void main string args thingy. This defines a method. A method is actually something like a an instruction how to do something. So this is the real thing that is actually executed. The other thing around is just a wrapper to have this defined somewhere. And this has multiple different things. Like here's the public, for example. That means that this method is public, so anybody can call it. It's like if you're on there's a traffic light and you want to press the button, and it's public, so anybody who's around can press the button. So this is a public method; anybody can use it. Okay. Next thing is the static thingy. We will get to this a bit later. At the moment, I just told you that the class describes the type of something, of an object. And usually you cannot call something like you cannot press the button of a traffic light if you don't have a traffic light. And the static actually means that you don't really need a hello world object. The hello world class is fine. You can just call this on the class. But we will get to this later. The next thing is the void. Any method in Java has a return. So, well, except for this method. So if you don't have return anything, you just write there void. And usually, for example, you add up two numbers. So the result is a number again. So you would write here number, any kind of number. Or if you create some message or something, you would return here's a message. Or you could, if you return a car or a fruit or whatever, you write here fruit, car, or whatever it is. And actually void just means this method will return nothing. Okay. And then the method has some brackets and something in there. And this is actually just some parameters that are given to the method. And here I say that the parameter I give it is of the type string. And additionally, it's an array of string. So it contains multiple strings. And I just give it a name, and the name is args. Okay. So why do I call this whole thing main? And why do I use these args? Because I don't use them. Well, if you want to call a class, Java will search for exactly this method. It will search for a main method that has a string array, and then it will call these. And if you, for example, call this with some parameters later, like hello, it actually calls this and puts this hello into this argument. Okay, so next. So this is the real instruction. Here, the real magic happens actually. And system is again a class in Java. And it also has another concept that I wasn't yet talking about. That's the property. And whenever you call something on a class or anything, you do put a dot in there and then whatever you want to do with it. And system has an out property. So that's defined in the Java environment. And the out returns an object. It is actually a print, what was it? A print stream object. That's an object that you can call print line. So this is the method print line that you can call on this object. And this object that you get returned will put everything that you tell it to the console. And so this is all the magic that is actually to this very first Hello World program. So we have the class, we have the method that is called, and then we have the instruction that prints out Hello World. So let's see how we'll go on from here.